Okay, folks, we are live. It is Friday. Another week. I just asked him, Blake, backstage. I said, "What is it? Tuesday?" He goes, "Oh, it's Friday."
Yep,
So,
Freaky Friday.
holy smokes, man. Anyway, Blake, sure love you. We've been friends for a long time. What an interesting world. What an interesting time. Blake and I met each other in 1994. And ladies and gentlemen, 1994 to me doesn't seem like a long time ago, but
No, it doesn't.
but in the real world, it's getting on. It's getting on. It's a few years. It's a few years anyway. And Clinton. I guess Clinton was president when Blake and I met each other.
We were in a course, and I remember you and I came in celebrating that one morning
Yeah,
because of the Republican Revolution for the Common Sense
Blake
Revolution
and I
with
were
Newt
the only.
Gingrich.
We were conservatives. We were MAGA. We were MAGA before it was popular. But yeah, it's so true. Let me get the chat going. Hey, everybody, welcome aboard. Novice Nick is in. Wolfie Baby, I love these two guys. Great patriots, great American guys. One from Louisiana and the former Novice Nick, currently in Louisiana. And the other one is Wolfie Baby, the pride of New York City, the Big Apple. Big Apple having some troubles lately. We'll maybe talk about it in a little bit. Big show. Schumer's being an idiot. So we're going to follow a little bit of that.
New there.
But the biggest story that seems to be lighting up social media is the pulling of the curtain, like the Wizard of Oz. I always use that allegory, that metaphor of the wizard doing his tricks and little Toto, Dorothy's beautiful little dog. You gay people know about this. And the little dog goes out, Dorothy, and goes out and pulls the little curtain back and reveals the wizard behind the thing. So in the spotlight are Megyn Kelly. No surprise. Trump trashed her. Remember in the first term, he was at the debate, the candidates debate.
Yeah.
To quote Simon and Garfunkel, the candidates debate with that little.
She was working for Fox, I think, at the time.
Yeah, I think she was a Fox reporter, and she'd been around the blog NBC, and she had her own big show on NBC. Anyway, she's a disaster, and so the curtain's being pulled back on these people. And the culprit is, the variable is, the focus is Israel. Now, I'm a Q person. Blake is not. I am. And Q said in no uncertain terms, Israel last. Israel last. And there's a lot on Q. Q also said C before D. Comey, then D class. Comey, then D class. Now, Comey's been up before Virginia, laughing. Nothing happened. Charges dropped. Piddling out. Nothing. But now he's in the big leagues, and now he's down in Florida where he's been subpoenaed. He's in a lot of trouble. Yeah. And so they aren't going to be playing around down there. And the judge that they've got there is a good one. It's a lady. She's a lady. Hello, lady. It's a girl one. And so I forget her name, but apparently she's been weighed in on other cases and made the right call. And by the right call, justice, pro-America, America first. Got to be America first, whatever you do. And I'm Canadian, full disclosure, so's this guy. But boy, we got a lot of ruts in the United States. I was just doing my genealogy and everything, and I'm working on it. Trump could be my fourth cousin, one time removed. I'm working on it. We're both McLeods. There can only be one. We're from
McLeod.
We're from the Isle of Lewis, where both our ancestors are from the same place with the same names.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, and they follow his ancestry back to Kenneth MacLeod and Catherine McIver. And those are my 4 times great grandparents. They are also identified as Donald Trump's 3rd great grandparents. So I don't know. I got to work it out. You can't just nail it down. A lot of inbreeding on those islands. That's why I look so much like Trump.
Get the hat on.
Oh my! Hey, I
tell the difference.
Oh my God, Blake. Anyway, so lots of headlines going on. Okay, this is one. I will start this one because we are in Canada. We like to do. Hey, Brian, welcome to the show. Just welcome everybody. We just welcome you here. Please support the program. We don't get a lot of views, but it gives us an excuse to kind of talk about this stuff. So, Blake, here's our first story. This is kind of interesting one. I'll make it big. I'll take us out because one of those, I don't know, TikTok things. We'll make it go big here. Okay, let's go back to the beginning of Fallout. Here we go, Blake. We're going to watch a little bit.
We are just literally minutes away from the border to Canada as we flee the U.S.
Wait, what? You want to flee the United States for Canada? Well, from a Canadian who just moved out of Canada to America, Florida, let me show you what you're in for. First things first, you're going into a terrible economy. See, we just lost 84,000 jobs last month, the worst in years. And our unemployment rate just went up to 6.7%. Yours is at 4.4, historically low. Our housing prices compared to disposable income is off the charts. And the average house in the average city costs almost $1 million. And it looks like this. In your country, disposable income is actually more than house prices. Our GDP per capita is the worst in the G7. Yours is the best. Oh, and as of this month, we have the highest food inflation in the G7. But let's put that aside because I bet you love our prime minister, right? Yeah, the elitist investment banker that hasn't even lived in Canada for the past 10 years. Yeah, he's gonna fix your problems. Don't worry about it. I know. You're here for the free healthcare, right? But here's the thing about the free healthcare. It doesn't really work. You won't be able to find a doctor. You're probably gonna die in the emergency room. And they're gonna take 54% of your income to taxes. Look, you're fleeing the strongest economy on earth, but hey, no problem. We traded spots. See, I had a business in Canada renovating properties. I bought and sold over 150 properties, had 13 employees. I shut the whole thing down and restarted it in the US and got my visa for my entire family legally to live in the US. Now we pay way lower taxes, make way more money because the economy is 100 times bigger. And instead of gray skies for 8 months a year and snowy weather, it's 300 plus days of amazing sunshine. But don't worry about it. You're gonna love Canada. You'll see.
Fuck, what a rip.
Actually, he probably will love Canada. He's probably a complete whiny bag socialist.
Well, anybody, yeah, if
who
you're going to
gets a
leave
job
America,
to work for the government to look after him. I mean, that's the problem.
You're right about that, Blake. All right,
So-
buddy. Look, so can you turn the volume up on Blake? I need my dear bell. I'm very elderly. The ears are. I'm rock and roll. Those speakers put a lot of rock and roll.
Was my mic up loud enough?
No, you're good. It's just
okay.
my speaker system was all wacky. There we go. All right, buddy. The guy, maybe, he's a Democrat, running away.
He looks like it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in my perfect world, I would just love an exchange program. Why the fuck doesn't all the Ben Stillers and the Tucker Carlsons, for that fucking matter, and the Megyn Kellys of the world, and send them all up into Canada, and they can have their little Canadian thing. No wars, no nothing. They could have all that fun. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, somebody who knows more about Canada and America and living in both situations, nobody can compete with this guy. I know someone lived in Canada, now lives in South Georgia. That's right, Ron. And you were in weren't you in, or you visit Jacksonville? You have family in Jacksonville. He goes down to Florida too. But yeah, Ron's in Augusta. His family, he's an American guy, born American, raised American, but spent some time in Canada. And a lot of these, I don't know, I don't know if it's religious or whether it's people originally came from Canada, south of the border. I don't know. But anyway, he's lived in both locations, and his people are the great state of Minnesota originally. Now he's in warm Georgian climes, But Ron will tell you, if you want to know, the superiority, the benefits of living in both places, what the trade-off is. But the health and point that the guy makes, because this is the one that leftists always like to shout out about Canada. Oh, we got this incredible health system. A lot of people, and we've talked about on this very program, I don't think Blake has a family doctor right now.
Nope. Haven't for years. Can't get one. I'm on the list. That's the thing. You sit on lists, and it's a significant problem here. And I mean, we can go into what British Columbia just announced this past week, or this week as well. That they're proudly under the EB cultural revolutionaries that are running our province, and have announced that over the last year they've recruited 400 doctors, nurses, and nurse practitioners and other specialists to move to Canada from the United States. And I'm thinking, it's like, but they need thousands. But regardless, my thought process on that was, okay, if you're a reporter, what question would you ask? How did you vet these people? What's their credentials? Because why would you leave to come here in a profession that pays you far superior in the US, better working conditions in the US? You don't have to be overworked like you do, the unions do here. They're highly controlled here, but you're understaffed at all times. You're never able to keep up. You've got people dying around you because you can't get doctors to them. You're giving them MAID. That's the healthcare Canada has now, which is medically assistance in dying is what MAID is. And 100,000 people now in the last 3 years, they said, or something like that, or have done it, have taken MAID. And literally people are able to walk in the door and say, I don't feel well. My head's not in the right space. And they'll offer you MAID if you want. I mean, it was meant for people that were absolutely at the end of the line dying, right? And it was going to be a horrible, painful death. That was the point, is that you would be given the opportunity to say, okay, this is a mercy situation. They're going to be in horrible pain. Just do it for that. But regardless of your beliefs on that side, but we've gone from that society where we believed that healthcare was an important cornerstone to have a healthy population, a happy population, to now that, you own nothing and be happy or be miserable with fake healthcare. But yeah, I mean, you look at this and you see what's happening. I wonder, as a reporter, asking David Eby and say, okay, well, tell me about these medical people that have decided to take it on. You mean they're the worst of the crop? The people all the problems. So they interviewed a doctor. I just want to give our folks an example. The doctor they interviewed in the media, celebrating coming here, was saying about how he was burnt out and run into the ground into the United States, and that's why he came to Canada. I'm thinking, okay, great. So we're bringing doctors who had a mental problem, mentally unstable, and that's what we're getting. We're getting the ones with all the baggage that nobody.
They're not sending us their best.
No, it's like, here you go. And meanwhile, the Canadian trained medical students and all that, guess where they're going? They're going south for the big bucks, right? Why you can make 3 times as much money, keep the vast majority of your money, and know that you work for healthcare companies or private hospitals or even county hospitals and such, where you're not going to be run into the ground.
Do you know where the switch would work in the favor of Canada is education? Americans don't pay their teachers much. In Canada, it's pretty much it's like a government position. It's a golden ticket. You make a lot of money. Our good friends, and
you only work 6 months of the year.
Make good money that way. Retired now, but big money. I come from in a break and see smart people talking. Nice. Well, Sean, you're a smart guy for being here. We appreciate you dropping in on Blake and myself. Here's the other thing about MAID, and I've always said this since I first heard it. I went, oh, okay. So grandma's going to go out on her terms. It sounds so humane and so glorious and wonderful. But at the end of the day, I realize what's going to happen. Once you weaken the moral fiber about it, because it's about the sanctity of life, we don't touch it. Hands off. We aren't screwing around with that. That's God. Render Caesar thing to Caesar's. Render to God. Life and human existence is God's department. Traditionally, governments say hands off that. But everything, because we live in a godless void. Because we live in this anti-God state. Really, we're in an antichrist state. And because of that, The human life is devalued. You're no more important than an amoeba, than a speck of dust with some sort of bacteria growth on it. You're the same, there's no special thing about you being human. So get off your high horse.
Yeah.
None of this made in the image of God stuff. So we're going to put little Daisy, our Chihuahua, down. We're also going to put you down. So anyway, so what happens is that it moves from Grandma went out on her own terms with dignity. It was beautiful today. And everybody, oh, Grandma. But then now it's like Bob's 25 feeling depressed. And Bob isn't really going out on his own terms. Bob's just gone. And so what happened, we're seeing a slow evolution of where it's autonomous, autocratic, you have control, self-determination, where the government's determining. And the end picture isn't good. I got a clip, I just grabbed it, which with a couple of gals talking about the whole thing. Talking about the money saved. Table Salt, good account. This crazy TikToker uncovers medical journal, estimates Canada's going to save trillions in medical costs by offering MAID to mentally ill patients in 2027. All right, so let's play the little clip here for you. And, we're here to entertain and inform. Let's go big. Here we go. Let's TikTok our way and talk about this for a minute or so.
What happens when you open the door to killing? You don't get to close or decide what walks through.
But Kelsey, what would be the incentive? What is the motive?
Ready? I got one for you.
Because you got to have a motive.
Money.
Let me show you how. Someone dies, it's over. Chronicity is big business.
No. This is where you're wrong here, darling. End of life is money time. Okay? So, Canada, a new journal on the Sage Journal on the Omega website. You can go find it on Sage. The medical journals that are peer-reviewed papers from universities, which I can show it to you. It's called the Journal of Death and Dying. It came out this year. And they did an estimate of what Canada looks to save once they turn the mental illness into the MAID protocol. So from 2027 to 2047, which is a 20-year period. That is when mental illness, meaning anybody can qualify. You don't have to be dying anymore, sweetheart. You can just have a hard time. And once you're in the system, you're in it.
So it doesn't cost them money to treat you through the government, so they save money.
You ready to find out how much? 2027 to 2047, they're expected to use MAID on roughly, this is the journal's, they've done the math, this is the journal's estimate, 14.7 million Canadians. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
They're going to save to a tune of $1.273 trillion.
All right, it goes on.
So
now, staying focused on my point, and then I'm going to turn it over to you, is what if the government determines that a belief in Christianity and Jesus, the sky god, is mentally ill, a delusion? Because Christianity is absolutely antithetical to the state.
Yeah.
And what if they decide that Christian belief is mental illness? Then can somebody go, yeah, they believe in Jesus. Maybe we should, kind of, they've had a good life. Time for them to go out. Think of the money we'd save. So I see everything going in a very predictable way, from the beautiful Grandma went on her own terms. It was lovely. To the government decided to kill Bob.
That's right. Bob has SADS.
Yeah, Bob stubbed his toe. They took him out. All right. So your thoughts on all this? And again, it's all tangential to the medical. It's an aspect of the health care system in Canada. Health care system.
Well, I think we've touched on this numerous times with regards to the globalists and how they view the human life as literally we are a number on their bean counting list, right? So I've been saying this for quite some time, that this was going to happen. Nobody believed it. Everybody's like, we're overpopulated. No, we weren't. We were never overpopulated. That was a lie. Just like they had to move from global warming to global freezing to global warming to climate change to things that they just keep changing the terminology to hide the same intent. The point is that the first world is too expensive in their mind to honor, and this is the point, honor their commitments. And that's the thing. We created in our society an agreement that you could work to a certain age, retire, and hopefully maybe in the last 20 years of your life you enjoy a quality, decent way of life, and you have, in case you run into troubles, you have this national healthcare philosophy that we're not going to kill you by breaking the bank, right, financially. But unfortunately, these guys view it as, well, you're unfunded liabilities. These are the bean counters. This is the evil behind it. It's simply, you're a number. Really no different than the Nazis killing off putting a number on you if you're Jewish and putting you in a concentration camp and lining you up for the final solution. It is a very quiet final solution. That's essentially what these guys have decided, that you are you're expendable because you're too expensive. You first worlders who are retiring, you baby boomers especially, all the ones that are all elbows up for these guys. This is the irony of so they should be screeching in terror of these guys who they're bringing into power, because these guys who have power are the ones trying to kill them off. These are the ones that ran the COVID operations. These are the ones that are bringing in millions of third world immigrants to replace them, because essentially we didn't have enough children, because we bought and drank the Kool-Aid that we're overpopulated for 40 years, that we had to control things on population.
And other variables with that, of course.
And China, of course, look what's happened to China. China's in a free fall collapse population-wise. They're going to be in trouble themselves. But the reality is that that's how they view us. They view us as a number are you either a producer or you're an expenditure. And being in a country that is dominated with this philosophy that we are a country of resource extraction colony for these globalist entities, primarily controlled through large asset management companies, they need a constant flow of fresh blood to pick up the pieces and work for cheap. And then they need the time to remove the more expensive people and convince them. And here's the thing, is it will be your moral obligation. I'm sorry, I'm falling into my head into Logan's Run, right? You remember Logan's Run, the movie? Yeah. It's like they made it look like it was a beautiful thing. You were turning 30 and it was your time to go. And it was this big spectacle.
Michael York, a young Michael York. Yeah.
And it just shows how a society, and yet they lied to the people that the outside was safe to be. There was plenty of room to go. They were stuck in these bubble city. And there was only so much room for them. And just think, 15-minute cities, bubble cities again. We're almost going into the Logan's Run world. Not kidding. We are going into Logan's Run.
Yeah, it's a dystopia for sure.
And everything was automated. They had robots watching it, AI, right? It's a dystopian, but from 50 years ago. Yeah, that Logan's Run came out. Yeah, it was early 70s. Farrah Fawcett was in there.
Farrah's great. We love Farrah.
She's great. So
she went out on her own terms with dignity.
But I think that's the terror behind this, is that this is evil without the Nazi swastika SS guys rounding you up to take you off to the camp. This is done with a smile. This is done much more nefariously, in a sense that you're going to be a patriot to do this. It's a good thing for you to do. You don't need to suffer. You got a bad headache? Well, they're not going to find a way to cure it, because they want to get out of the way. They don't want you to be cured. That's why you now have to look after yourself. Yeah.
Just think of the mindset, like where you and I think, and how our government, it's absolutely the opposite. It's like living in opposite world, bizarro world.
It's flipped.
The opposite. Yeah.
It's like the show Stranger Things. We're in the upside down world now.
You know what's interesting? I got a clip here. And all these, the liberals and you're talking about, they hate you, and even though you're champion, they don't like you. They hate you. You're doing this. And then, of course, the big fix is to bring the newcomers in, and that'll be a better world, because the newcomers are here, and they're going to be the new Canadians. That'll be the new.
Well, I wouldn't even call them Canadians. They're the resource extraction workers to work for these massive corporations that are run by the globalists.
I would argue that. Yeah. I would argue, yeah, you'll own nothing behalf, but I would argue that there's problems with the newcomers, that they aren't necessarily going to embrace all the values in the West here as they come and visit. Let's take a look at a clip.
Yeah.
This is a fun one. This went viral. Australian Prime Minister tried to simp for Muslims at a major Ramadan event. They attacked him. He'll probably just attack more. Let's just play some of the chaos. It's a chaotic little meeting he has. Here we go.
Boo Tony Bird! Boo! What are you doing here? Genocide supporters! Boo! This is bad! Boo! Genocide supporters!
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر
Look at all the women.
ولله الحمد. Dear brothers and sisters,
Impacts our community. Get him out of here!
we as Australian Muslims,
Get him out of here!
we as Australian Muslims need to have these deep intellectual discussions in regards to how we navigate the path of engaging political leadership, the media, and the wider worship. Respect the place you're in, please. This is a mosque.
So anyway, he leaves, and then he goes and gives a speech. Says they loved me there. The Muslims just loved me. They were yelling at him, and they're calling him, "You're a dog." They're going, "You are a dog." You dog. Allah Akbar.
Yeah, well, dogs are not something that Muslims like around. That's for sure.
Haram, my friend. Haram.
Yeah.
Black. Yeah, where are the white women at? Yeah, they of course, in Islam they have the men's and the women. They separate them, so it's like an all guy fest in there, and then the idiot prime minister's there to go celebrate their religious thing with them, just get shouted out. Because all the liberal Western values, this is what I don't get. I mean, do they think they're actually going to be able to control these people? We're now initiating gay time for our LGBTQ plus members. Islam is not necessarily friendly to all that kind of thinking. So,
Yeah.
You kind of wonder. I saw one thing where the little cardboard, because it came out that the rumored to be deceased newest supreme leader is a gay supreme leader. And so they were showing him in makeup and everything. They were doing a little AI thing on him. And he had a little cardboard buddy, and they were throwing him off a building. A little gay guy. So it's just crazy out there.
You're right.
So you wonder, do you think, Carney, that these guys aren't going to come running for you? And if they are the majority, and we're already seeing it, like with the Conservative Party of Canada, there's a meme out there with something like 27 Sikh, East Indian Sikh candidates for the Conservative Party. Or do they care about my Welsh, Irish, English, Scottish heritage that that traditionally is brought over to Canada, or even, let alone my Native American heritage that were here before anybody showed up?
Yeah.
Come on, man. Like, how does this end for them? What kind of world do they think they'll get? All their police are going to be Islam. Everybody's going to be Sikh or Islam, one way or the other. And maybe there'll be a big dust up, and we'll figure out who's ultimately, whether we're going to be an Indian province or an Islamic caliphate god over here, or just a communist Chinese shithole. But I have a feeling the Chinese communist shithole part are going to get the crap kicked out of them by our, the Sikhs are running around with swords, and the and Islam, who I believe the machete is favored.
Well, there's places in India, and if you want to look at India, where you basically have three distinct groups that they got Hindus, who are numerically the largest. It is traditionally a Hindu country. Sikhs, of course, would be the others who want a Khalistani state, a separate Sikh state or their own country.
Yeah.
So they're the version of our Quebecois. but a lot more. They're willing to use force to try and fight for it. And then, of course, Islam. There's Muslims, I think, in the range of they're a minority, but they're pretty huge. I mean, they would overwhelm North America by themselves. I think they're about 200 million. Plus, they have Pakistan at their back, which is basically the nation state that is Islamic, that kind of pushes the buttons with India. That's why India and Pakistan don't get along. But the concern is if you're going to be bringing now put it this way, India is not going to want to be sending us their best either. They probably want to send us their troublemakers, just like the rest of the world seems to do. Even the Islamic countries that have a relatively stable social climate kick these guys out. They kick the radicals out. They don't want them. They don't want the crazy Palestinian radicals in their streets. They boot them out. Well, let's send them to Europe. Let's send them to Canada. Let's send them to New York. Let's send them there so that they can be, and we get all their radicals. Well, don't think for a second that if we get to a certain level of population where you have these sectarian differences, this is already happening. We've seen videos of it spilling out between Khalistanis and Hindus, right, on the street, where they're battling between anti-Modi and for Modi type of people. Like, they have their own Trump-like person who is Modi, and he's polarizing, especially with Sikhs. They don't like him because he's definitely against their movement.
He's a Hindu, he works against it.
But I mean, he's certainly not the Mahatma Gandhi type character. Let's all love each other and get along.
No.
So I think Canada's in for a world of hurt. But as I said, I'll fall back to, it's not going to be allowed to happen as long as America stays strong. As long as America has strong MAGA leadership, in the sense that they believe in your country, the independence, the stability of your country being the greatest nation on earth, they won't allow that to happen. The whole point of a melting pot was that you would come in and become part of that culture.
Yeah, but the problem
not overwhelm the other existing culture. Yeah.
Yeah, but you got the Democrats. The Democrats are essentially, America, if you don't know, your Democrat voters are essentially Canadians. When you look at a Democrat, you are looking at an elbows up Canadian. They're the same animal with the same brain pattern that's been perhaps too many boosters. We're not sure exactly the exact cause, but it's all there. Now, Canada's got big problems too, Blake, because we're letting in anybody. And then when we do, we don't know exactly who they are, where they're coming from.
Or where they went.
We lost sight of that one. So this story broke. And this is interesting on a couple of levels because it's got the, let me make this big. Okay. Last night, a Canadian flight had to be escorted by U.S. fighter jets. Now, our Canadian media goes NORAD jets by Canadian media, but make no mistake, these are American fighter jets due to a security incident and, quote, passenger fraud. Every day now, there is a serious threat to Canada, and the U.S. bails us out. Canada can't look after it. So there's some sort of threat, identity theft. No one knows what's going on. So I posted the following. Interesting. Any idea where the passenger might have come from? Hey, wow. Yeah. That's hilarious. I mean, they just line them up and I knock them out of the park.
It's like T-ball.
Oh, crap, it's T-balling it. Oh, I think I got this critter. What, a ground out single? What? There we go. We got Mike Sweeney. We love Mike. Mike, so good to see you. We hope you're well, dear friend. Mike Sweeney. We love Mike. The tri-state area. All right. So, what do you think? NORAD, Canada, again, showing up that we can't protect ourselves. And again, even though I make a joke about there was identity fraud, what do you think could possibly be involved with the identity fraud? What the hell's going on? And where it required jets to intercept it?
Well, I think the jets to intercept it would be that maybe they knew somebody was on there that was a high-level official, kind of like your photo. Because we apparently have 700 Iranian operatives from the regime in Canada. And this is their protection ground to continue their operations and counterintelligence.
And have they
all
been?
that kind of stuff.
And have they done any harm to anybody while during their brief stay here in Canada, or perhaps their extended stay? Any trouble happen?
A few things have happened. Yes. How about shooting up synagogues? That there's definitely some operations that have been going on from here, but it's more on the counterintelligence side. That's why, people were saying and assuming the reason why Trump didn't notify Carney and his government and their officials when they attacked Iran and when they were going to do it. Remember, that was kind of that whiny little moment when our minister was like, "Yeah, you didn't tell us." Well, there's a reason, because you're compromised, Canada. You have foreign intelligence people working inside your government. This has been known for a long time. Chinese foreign influence, the Iranians are in there. You've got cartel members from and people kind of think of like this sort of peasant guy with a machine gun, from Mexico. No. Cartel people are high level people. Some of these people are incredibly trained, come across as smooth business people, smooth politicians, come across as a doctor. They're a powerful entity. You have to understand, when there's billions and billions involved, you can pay some of the best people to do what you want them to do, and especially if you get dirt on them too. So the point is that Canada has been infected with this crap, and it's been allowed to happen because I think it's been part of this destabilization effort to destabilize the West, destabilize America, destabilize Canada, break up that power so that they could reform it. So I think this is the point. And there is, speaking of tracking people, need to look this up. I was watching, if everybody watches a guy, he calls his show Runkle on the Bailey.
Runkle on the Bailey.
His last name's Runkle. He's a lawyer. He's in Canada. Really good guy. Really kind of fights more the firearms rights side.
Yeah, Second Amendment stuff.
Really good. Doesn't look like, looks like a long-haired kind of guy. He's kind of, you would think he'd almost be a Democrat type guy, but not at all. Not at all. Anyways, Canada's secretly pushing through a bill. Apparently, there's been no opposition to it, which is interesting.
Typical.
Called Bill C-22. And
I
Bill
know about this, yeah.
So Bill C-22 is the government is going to be giving itself the power to go in through the backdoor access to your smartphones and to your devices that are connected on those networks without any law that they have to get a warrant or anything like that. They can just automatically go into anybody's cell phone they can hack it. They need to be they want hack codes from all of the providers, which says to me, well, this is exactly what I just said earlier. Well, they can't find these people. Well, guess what? They're now going to track you. They want to watch everything you're doing, and they want access to all of your personal files and everything that you keep on your phones without you even knowing about it. So this is, and of course, Runkle on the Bailey makes an incredible point to this, is this surveillance state is expanding at a massive scale. But this information, the hackers, Canada is so bad at this kind of stuff, it's going to leak out. We have the intel people from all these foreign adversaries who are mixed into our government and into our political class. That information is going to get out. So you're going to have Chinese communists looking at what you do. They're hackers, Russia, wherever you think you might have. I actually believe Russia won't be an enemy down the further line. I think that's going to change. But Canada is really put itself in a difficult situation with allowing people here. And I think the administration, I think those jets might have been like, we're landing that plane, Canada, because we're not going to allow those guys to get out. So, I'm only making an assumption, but there's some weird stuff going on right now in Canada. We know is not playing ball.
I want to do a quick blitz of kind of the trouble with some of the old regime from Iran causing trouble in Canada. So this is just a bunch of stories. This is when they shot up. Holy crap. Islamic regime sleeper cells, Toronto, Canada, fired 17 bullets at boxing gym of an Iranian It's an Iranian gym where Iranian people go, but the regime is keeping them under wraps, kind of like China does in Canada. Same thing with their people. Breaking the Shia cleric who was filmed at Pearson International arrives from Iran. Together, his family's been identified as something or other. It goes Shia cleric at Pearson interview, and then he went straight to the Quds, I don't know, protest march. Iranian Canadian man who sued the son of Iran's last show was found dead in Mission, BC. Two Iranian Canadians he previously sued have been charged with first-degree murder, two-charge murder. So it's an Iranian hit. Another Canadian dead ahead of the foreigner, 50-year-old Canadian murdered by invader Abdefah Ahmad, who has been charged with manslaughter of a parking space in Brampton. No, these aren't hunters, sports shooters. Toronto police released videos showing suspects' 58th homicide, targeted shooting university student Arslan Ahmad of Brampton. A news release, homicide in Visual Woodbine Shopping Center. Shandar Kumar, Randa Nakdamar, man arrested, and on it goes. But we had the unprovoked broad daylight at a busy plaza, 71 simply getting groceries, and then they take her out, and on it goes. But remember, there was the one that's not in this hit list. She was an Iranian protest person here fighting against the regime. She's in Toronto. She put out warnings. There was film footage about a month ago or 2 months ago where these guys, these agents, Iranian sleeper cell guys, were torching her place. They put gasoline all over the patio, torched it. Place goes up in flames. And then like a couple of months later, even a month later, so within that time frame, they went and murdered her. They broke into her house and killed her. And they had threatened to kill her. And they went through with their threats in Canada. These people bring their politics and their grievances, and they fight them out here, the regime, it's just crazy.
I mean, we're allowing foreign adversarial governments to establish their espionage networks, their crime networks, who are connected as well in Canada. And it said we can go back to what this is all connected to. This is,
and I'm going to tell
done
you
intentionally by our government.
Okay, hold on. One very quick thought, and I'll put it right back. I don't think our government cares if they knock us off. In fact, they go, you're doing us a favor, actually.
Yeah, well, they're part of the. They are part of the globalist organization that is trying to destabilize the world.
Yeah, the muscle. I call Iran the gun for the deep state, right?
Well, they're the ones, the destabilizers in the Middle East, to make sure that oil prices stay in control and highly volatile to keep their profits high. And I think this is where we go to the topic of the show. Why it leads to all of this, because it does lead to this. Why MAGA's in turmoil, right? Because I think their focus is that they're getting caught up into the little foxes in the holes rather than dealing with the bigger picture.
Q said a long time ago, be careful who you follow. Be careful who you follow. And even in the first round, I got blocked by Mike Cernovich. Cernovich is kind of a pundit channel guy. And he blocked me in the first round because he's never been all on board with Trump. And I support Trump. That's my guy. I love Donald Trump. I'm MAGA all the way. Blake, I'm this bold. I'm going to support this little guy. Okay, check this, Blake. This is our gay Republican. Okay, isn't this adorable? But so he's a gay Republican, right? Big deal about that. But check this. The gay Republican, little Christian cross there. I love it. I'm the tranny type one. I call it sin. Hello, my name is David. Lovely name. And I have a major announcement. I didn't want to have to do this, but he's left me absolutely no choice. After years of following, the time has come for me to unfollow Tucker Carlson. I thought he could be saved, but it's clear that I was wrong. He's fallen off so hard. He is truly lost. He blames Israel for everything, and it is very sad to watch. I held on to hope because I used to really think he was a patriot who loved America. I just can't see him that way anymore. Tucker Carlson is in decline, and it's just so very sad. Tucker, I hope you find the healing you need. I hope you, little gay Republican, you're adorable, beautiful eyes, little gay Republican. But smart man, you, that is, patriotic girl likes him. Yeah, you seriously lost cause. Something's happened to him once he came back from Russia. So a lot of comments on Tucker Carlson, but he's not alone. There's some other figures up there. Mike Cernovich is one. Dan Bongino's taken him out. Of course, the former intelligence officer, I forget exactly what his department was or whatever, but he's making all the talk show hosts with Megyn Kelly and everything. And apparently he was already under investigation by the FBI for leaking classified information to, select ears. And you can't do it. You're not able to do it. So that guy's going to go to jail. Right now, Comey's in trouble because we do have the thing they said would never happen, or there's no justice, no it'll happen. And the good news is on all this, I think I could do, well, there's even more going. Man, I got a couple more on this topic. I got a couple of lesbians here for you too, Blake. But anyway, we got it all. But
not like there's anything wrong with that.
A little comedy guy, I forget his name, JP. He's a little redheaded kid.
JP Sears?
Yeah, that guy. He's come out going, Trump's carrying water for Israel and all this. And it's like, these are the stupidest calls you could frickin' well make. All these people, none of them, follow Q. Q locks you in solid, and Promethean action locks you in solid. I say, read the Q drops, watch Promethean action, and Blake, tell me about your thoughts on Promethean action and what's going on with them, because they're under attack now. What the hell's going on? And of course, the Hodgkin twins, they're another one, if I said that right. They're also on the payroll. They aren't MAGA at all. Be careful who you follow. That's classic advice from Q drops. But anyway, Blake, go ahead. To speak to the whole idea of Promethean action, because I thought you had some interesting comments regarding that.
Well, they're getting lined up into the crosshairs of the globalists because they've been very effective targeting them.
Yeah,
and exposing all of their plans. When we say globalists, it's the old world order. What they describe is the City of London, multi-hundred years of financial control, running the levers of power around the world, and MAGA, and what Trump to make MAGA work, you have to shake off the power control that has manipulated the United States for decades, maybe even 100 years now, ever since the Federal Reserve was first created, run by these guys in the background. And this is how they've manipulated and controlled and kept the old world order in charge. So what we're seeing really is a new world order and an old world order butting heads big time. And anybody who's watching it and listening to what's happening, it all starts to line up and make sense. Why did they send Mark Carney to Canada? Why are all of the Commonwealth Five Eye countries, let's just say Australia, New Zealand, Canada, and of course the United Kingdom, which is the mothership of it all, basically are in lockstep in communication. Everything they say is identical. Mark Carney has gone off script, and boom, the next day he's back on script again. And which is fascinating, because that's where I kind of think and wonder if he's kind of playing both sides of the fence, because he knows he's got to do what he's got to do to survive. So, but anyways, this old world order, the City of London financial elites, which of course is allied to the crown, is been conducting these psychological ops all around the world, have been hundreds of years of experience of supplanting local governments, putting in your puppet leaders, controlling things, creating chaos where you need it to maintain your control. Because let's face it, the power of that old world order was to draw resources in. They didn't have it. They have to manipulate to control those resources coming in. So this is a global war on the geopolitical stage of who's going to be the leader of the world and to break free of that old world order, which I think is really fascinating. watching this alliance, starting a new alliance, because let's remember, Argentina used to be one of the greatest countries in the world. It had one of the highest GDPs. It was one of the wealthiest countries in the world. And it's on its way there now. And guess who's sending warships to join with Trump and sending 3 frigates to go to the Strait of Hormuz to help Trump and with his call for let's say, the New World Order's coalition of the willing, because we can see that the old world order is wanting this to fall. So I think part of all what we're experiencing right now is this massive, there's the fog of war. The real war that's happening is that war. The Strait of Hormuz and what's happening with Iran is to take out a proxy country that's been managed by those guys for a lot of years. And I think that's the problem, right? When you're looking at what Trump has recognized and the MAGA intel that the people that believe making America great is by breaking those guys, breaking their back, breaking their control. And you could almost see the Arab states are like, finally, somebody's willing to do this because we're done playing this game, right? And I think they need more stability in the area. It gets rid of the radicalization, the constant war, killing and bombings, because let's face it, a lot of these guys are running around blowing up cars strapped with dynamite and killing people. Those guys have been radicalized by professional psyops to get them to become radicalized. And I think if this is going to continue on, we're seeing that within the MAGA movement. Like, we've got people, I'm not going to say I like JP Sears, I like a lot of these guys, they've made sense. I'm not saying some of these guys are a part of the psychological op payroll. I think some of them are just duped, or they're being chumped because they're purposely, they're looking for the next thing to drive clicks and views in their social media, because these guys are making money off social media.
You know what I do, Mike?
I just think, well, my gut goes on this one that some of them are frauds. They actually are fake grifters that have been brought in and hired by this New World Order, cause division within MAGA. The Democrats are easy. They don't have division. They're communists, right? Marxists. They're not actually liberals. Stop calling them liberals. They're Marxists. That's what they are. So they essentially want the destruction of the American country from what they became now. They always have. They were Confederates in the Civil War. Well, guess who backed the Civil War in the Confederate side? Well, the Crown of England quietly was supporting the Confederacy. Canada supported the Confederacy by allowing them to operate here. So nothing's changed in what the Democratic Party was and is. It's still being managed by those people in the old world order. And if the Democratic Party wants to get a dose of MAGA and say, we want to represent America, start becoming Americans. Stop allowing those guys in the old world to manipulate you through money, through that side. But these guys who are in our MAGAsphere, if you want to call it that, the talking heads, the leaders, the people that have managed to build a career, with far more viewers than we have.
Oh yeah.
So, they've said all the right things and done all things, but some of them I think are getting hung up on ridiculous stuff. Now, I understand one aspect. They're hung up on Trump said no more foreign wars. But I think they're not clicking with the idea is that the no more foreign wars means you have to end that over there to end the foreign wars.
Yeah, this is not, this thing, one of these things is not like the other. This
because
is
other than, well, I'm going to say something really controversial.
Go.
If they truly wanted to end foreign wars, but he doesn't want to do it, would be to invade England and take those guys out. And that's basically end it. Cut them off, cut off their financial control, break them so that the people, much like Iran, the people in the UK could break free because they're not broken free yet. They're under a regime right now.
Yeah, but what are we witnessing, Blake? I mean, when you
we're seeing the control
there's more than one way to take care of this problem.
Well, you do it economically, right? Boom, boom.
That's
he's cutting off.
Saying.
That's what we're seeing. They're being pushed back into their.
We don't have to invade England or beat them up or anything. There's no need to. We're going to break them financially, and it's being done through this hemispheric power expression of power that's going on. As a matter of fact, there was an alarmist story coming out near Taiwan that the Chinese were doing exercises. Americans put out one of their ships, an aircraft carrier, went flying off into the area. But the point is, I would argue that under this new structure thing, China will go, okay, we'll hands off Venezuela, we'll hands off South America, North America, but you got to hands off Taiwan for us. And that kind of deal could end up being on the table. That's their sphere of influence. It could go that way. I don't know yet. But the reality is, Q said Israel last, and there's a reason. And Q said there's a reason we're leaving Israel for last. If you believe the Q thing anyway, obviously that is one of the elements required in that. But I always bought it. It rang true. I go with my gut. That's why I like Promethean Action. When they talked, my gut level upon which I evaluate things, I go, that's true. There's truth here. But some of these other cats, I go, okay, yeah, they're saying the right thing. But it's not really, I'm not really jamming with it. I'm not really jazzed by it. Another one that's always been a bit like that for me is Mark Dice. I'm not subscribed. I used to subscribe to him. I don't subscribe anywhere. But he came out with a thing. It's Israel and it's the industrial complex. So he's another one, just sees the Iran situation as just another war by the military industrial complex, the John Boltons of the world all being kept happy. But I see it as something different. Now,
you see who the tentacles that are connected in puppet mastering those people, and that's that old world order. They're the ones that are causing the chaos.
Well, the old world order, and then they got some help with some familiar faces. Let me find the one here. There's Sean Farrar. He goes on, does a little speak, says the grifter doomer class is what we're kind of calling these, the money makers. Oh, it's all over. Trump's not, blah, blah, blah. Is treating MAGA like a piñata. They're trying to destroy it and then hoard all the candy. The audience followers for themselves, right? The candy is you, me, who's going to, let's bail on Trump and let's follow, give all our money to Tucker or to, name your pundit, Candace Owens.
Yeah.
The good news is it's failing, folks. It is failing. Polls are out that MAGA is firmly on board, still doing great. Failing bigly, they're all just paid puppets. And there's this little meme here. I don't know what the sound is on this. But
now we infiltrate MAGA from within. Good boys, my little puppets. Cheap too.
Candace. And then the online is all
make sure it's worth it. Just don't look away when you betray that person. Say what they want long as the money keeps flowing. Smile for the crowd while the cameras keep rolling. Strings on your hands, but you swear you're working. Welcome to the daytime circus. Freak on purpose.
Here, Kelly.
Welcome to the show.
Let's discuss the economy. The media is spinning it. We must fight back!
Welcome to the daytime circus.
All right. So you get the sense of what's going on with that and the messaging there, that other people are controlling it and that it is coordinated, it is all happening at once, and it's meant to undermine and attack the president. Yeah. And the president's base. And that's you, me, and anybody that loves the spirit of America, really, liberty, justice, pursuit of happiness, all those good things, liberty, justice, freedom for all, that kind of idea, pursuit of happiness. And this is kind of what we had for a long time. And Canada had this for a long time, but it's rapidly fading and being removed from us and done so in striking manner with some of these bills we've talked about here. But also, and I said this earlier in the program, but it's so true, the Democrats are like Canadians, like the liberal Canadians. They have the same ideology, they have the same values, it's the same suit, they're very comfortable. And multiculturalism is the Democrat module, so that you go into Minnesota or something, you've entered into a little mini Somalia and other ethnic enclaves. And this was never America. The idea of America is it's a melting pot. You come in, you're an Irishman, you come in, you're a Frenchman, you come in whatever the hell you are. But you once you're in, you magically transform into a beautiful, freedom-loving American. Get your gun and enjoy your Second Amendment freedoms.
Well, I think that's how they've been able to continue to destabilize to control, right? Destabilization is controlling, right? So when you are when you can divide, you can conquer. That's simple. So if you can use multiculturalism as a way to divide and conquer, right? And then when you get to the point of diversity to that level, the whole word diversity means to divide. So, I mean, if you're going to divide people and say, well, you have strength in diversity, maybe a diversity of ideas is one thing, the arena of ideas, but you still have to have a foundation of which that works. And so, if, as you said, being a believer in the spirit of what the spirit of 1776 is, and now that we're in the 250th year, it's a major topic. It's to fight back, because the average lifespan of an empire historically has been only 250 years, have only lasted that long. And that's just because either they were invaded or collapsed from within. Most of the most powerful ones always collapse from decadence from within and the corruption. But once you can get into the divisive side of breaking people up into fragments, that you can control those fragments. That's why they have the whole, they make these guys change their flags every day on their social media posts, and they're out there protesting. So who am I supporting today? So you went from supporting, Palestine and pride flags to Iranian regimes. I mean, these people are at Ukraine, and their flags just keep switching. This is the brainwash captured people.
Well, and it also tells you that it's not organic, but that it's organized. Okay, this is the talking point. We want this put out there because the administration currently is doing a full court press on Iran. We need to counter that. Danger here. That's okay. We can control that for a bit. Let's put the all hands on deck over here. We got problems here. And they move their assets around that way with the pre-printed signs up and all the rest of it. It goes on and on. All right.
But I would love to see these guys being called out by name, though. Maybe that would be the one side I would just like to hear. I mean, the Q drops sound great, right?
Yeah.
But how about let's just name names, for crying out loud? Come out, bam, 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 bam. These are the guys. This is the apparatus we're going to destroy. These are the people running the whole show, rather through Promethean action, all that. What is the Trump administration? And this is where I would argue on this side point of Trump. Yeah, we understand the plan. Maybe there's a diplomatic aspect that you're trying to be very cautious because you want to hurt innocent people within this game.
Yeah.
But it is a game. It's a game of chess that affects real world consequences. And let's start naming names. Let's calling them out.
I have an answer for you.
Like if King Charles is truly a king and he is manipulating this because the crown is part of this old world order, let's target them and call them enemies of the state. That's what you need to do. Go after these guys.
So here's the Q thinking on that, right? Trump wrote a book, the famous book, right? Art of the Deal, based upon Sun Tzu's The Art of War. And one of the principles in The Art of War is when you're strong, appear weak. You don't let your enemy know what's going on. Reporters often go to Trump, hey, well, what are you going to do? Are you going to send troops in? Are you going to respond to this? This is happening. Trump goes, well, the last thing I'm going to do is tell you. If I'm not going to reveal my hand, I'm not going to tell you what's going on. So a lot of part of this fog of war, it's frustrating as hell for us outside the line because we're not in the war room with the map and the paper and the compass and all. We're lining our troops here. They're going to lie. So we're going to come on a pincer movement here. We're going to bring them in here and do this. What they do is they hint through things like, okay, we laid the trap for NATO. NATO. What was the NATO trap? Okay, we need help in the Gulf. So now the leftists are going, you say America's so strong. I saw some idiot posts like this on one of the comments I had done today. It's not even worth responding to an idiot like that because their thing was, If so Trump's so strong, why is he begging for the world to help his Navy? Well, Trump doesn't need the help. He wants to, it's a loyalty play. Who's going to help out? Who's going to do? They finally figured out what the hell was going to go on. Now we've been suckered. So everybody's coming in. Oh, we're going to do it. And while we were doing this earlier, I had a clip up of fighter jets. The Brits are allowing Trump to use islands and bases in the UK to fly the big boys over those B-1 bombers. Are going over B-2s. Look out, kids. It's going to be a lot of fun.
And we know in Canada's involvement too, because initially, this is the bizarre thing, as I talk about that these leaders came out lockstep and the messages had to change because they were getting their marching orders. But Carney had originally, at the first outset, said, "We are supporting the United States in this."
He did.
And he was coming out quite strongly, and literally he flipped the very next day. He got the phone call.
Somebody phoned him
and said, "Nah, you're going to stand down, buddy, and you're going to speak out against it." And all of a sudden he's reading from the same words. You can almost take word for word what Starmer said, what Carney said, what Albanese said. It was just basically, no, we're not going to support this war, et cetera, et cetera. And which then entrapped them, because people don't realize Canada was actually hit. We were actually hit. Yeah. So when you're in a NATO member, what are the rules of engagement for NATO?
You
hit one, you hit them all.
That's right.
They all get behind you to protect you. So Canada, you were hit. You should have jumped into the fray and said, "Yeah, you're going to hit us around. We're joining in on this." Yeah,
correct. You're absolutely right. Now, here's another one. We got so many of these. We're going to go a little extra today. Pierre Poilievre showed up on the Joe Rogan show. I think it's a big nothing burger. It's nothing. But I'll let Blake give his take. But here's why I think it's nothing. And this is just a perfect little meme here. And again, I'll just expand on it and make it a little bit bigger so we can all see. I'm going, that's not what we want. There we go. Poilievre would never mock or dismiss Sikhs, Hindus, Muslims, Chinese, Palestinians, or any other group in the way he dismissed Albertans today. Of course, they were talking on the Rogan thing about Alberta independence. There's only one group, the Canadian Conservative Party of Canada will snub, and that's Canadians. So there's Poilievre all dressed up like a little East Indian. His little hat's not as cool. Like, they got the cool ones. He needs to get a better hat. Somebody got to tell him over in wardrobe. Here's Trudeau with his little sword and his little Kalistani thing and all the rest of it. So Trudeau pandering, Pierre pandering, same nonsense, blah, blah, blah. Blake, thoughts on the Poilievre appearance on Joe Rogan? People were screaming at it to do it like 3 years ago, whenever the hell.
During the election last year. In the election,
was it last year already?
Yeah, last year they were like, "You need to go on Rogan, and you need to go on Patrick Ben David's show, PVD."
Yeah, he's good. I like him.
Get out there and get on those shows, because you're going to be talking directly to Americans. It's not about talking to Canadians; it's about talking to Americans. And I watched the whole show. I was out of curiosity. Maybe it was a bit of masochism in there too, politically. But I mean, most of the show was him and Joe just talking about, health stuff, because they're both fitness guys. They're both martial arts guys. They were talking about MMA. They were going on a lot of that. There was some of that. So it was more almost much more casual. I think that's why I like where Joe Rogan's successful is. He just shoot the shit about anything, right? Yeah, that's kind of, it brings everybody's relaxing down that side. But I thought, we're kind of in a situation in Canada, if we don't have a political entity to support, we've got to work within, similar to MAGA, right? MAGA could have created its own political party. It said, screw this. We don't trust Democrats or Republicans anymore. We're going to do our own thing. But Trump recognized that you had to do it from within the established parties. You break them from within. You take over from within. And much like we've seen in the Liberal Party in Canada, they were taken over from within. They used to be a classical Liberal Party, and now they're just an outright
leftist.
Well, no, I call them a fascist party because that's what they are. They're a mix between public and private interests. They're crony corrupt. They're a crony corruption party that uses socialism as a tool to maintain power and control, and uses the weapons of the police force to keep everyone in line. But I think but that interview I thought was pretty good. I don't think it was. If anyone was expecting like a dramatic conversation, it wasn't. But there was some stuff Poilievre said, and I understand he's trying to make the dance that across Canada, because Canada is a failed state. And why is it a failed state? Is because we're regionalism. We're not unified. We're not like the melting pot of America. We have a constitution that unites us. We have a Laurentian elite that controls the country, basically a corridor between Toronto and Montreal. That's it. That is Canada. Those are the power sectors that control all of Canada outside of the globalists. Why it's so easy the globalists can control Canada? Because you just have to control those two areas. You run it all.
Yeah,
run one
right.
ring, you got them all, right?
Yeah.
So I think this situation was he's in a rock and a hard place. I do believe Poilievre, because I've seen him in his earlier days. He was better, and when he's much more,
you can't dress up.
Down,
Trump never dresses up. You got to be American. Trump's an American. He's not a fucking Hindu. He's not an Islamic priest. He's not a Buddhist. He's a frickin' American. And I don't even say he's a Christian American. He's a patriotic American, and I love him and I respect him. You never see him.
But this isn't about. I'm not talking about Trump. We're talking about Poilievre. So,
and I'm talking about Poilievre dressing the fuck up just like Trudeau. So why should I fucking trust a guy that kowtows like that fucking Australian prime minister that goes into the ashram and gets his ass kicked? Deservedly.
Well, it's a pretty simple answer. Votes. That's what he wants. And I mean, that's what he's doing.
Fuck him.
So he's showing up he gets invited to go. He's got a candidate in the area that happens.
Your votes, you're pandering, you're fucked. Because all of that you do, you alienate the old stock Canadian like yours truly. And now you got, Ahmed or Abdul or whoever the fuck you got, Raji, Haji. But anyway, you got those guys. But then you still don't win because the other guys are even better at it. The other guys
I mean, I would look at it differently in this way. I don't think he's becoming a Hindu or he's becoming Sikh or he's becoming that side. He's showing respect, just like if you went to a Christian church and
that's not respect.
But if you go to, but a lot of these guys, the problem is they won't go to the Christian churches and talk because the Christian churches won't allow it. Right. And that's the problem. It's like you've got this.
Well, the Christian churches would allow it because there's enough. You and I know the history of Christianity. We know we have personal history.
No, but in Canada, the Canadian Christian is weird. It's kind of this idea of well, we don't mix politics with religion. I'm sorry. Christianity was very public,
Oh yeah,
it was nothing hiding about being public in there because
the fucking United Church of Canada. Are you kidding me? Hi, I'm Roger. I used to be Gail, but I'm your new, bold, out and proud LGBTQ plus minister that's going to help you. And we
believe in our non-binary God.
And here's for collective edification, little Billy, whose drag name is 5-year-old drag king Gobby, is now going to dance for our sexual pleasurings. Thank you, Gobby. And then so all this bullshit. So no. We got people in Canada and religions in Canada under the Christian umbrella that would happily pander and take in some.
Oh, they do to the left.
Justin Trudeau's just
they do to the left.
Our Sunday service with
but
Katie
the conservative
Katie's here. She's got it.
Well, I'm just trying to make the point that Canada is a divided country. It is not a united country.
Of course.
And so we've got these little enclaves that run their own candidates because their population in those areas are numeric, like Surrey, right? We know numerically it's Indo-Canadian, right? Indo-Canadian, pretty much mainly Indians there now. I think they're about 60% in the population. They're 50%, something pretty high. So if you're going to go there, you're going to go to Brampton, Ontario. They don't jokingly call them a Brampton man. It is basically little India there. So if you want support from there, if you want to go there and gain their support,
I don't want their support. I need their support. What the fuck does some Sikh guy have to do with Canada? I am interested in Khalistan. That is all I care about.
Yeah.
Give me my pocha.
Well, there is a lot of Sikhs that don't care about that. And they're happy being in Canada. Matter of fact, they don't want the importation of India
they want
to
Khalistan
Canada.
State, please, Effendi.
But they don't want Khalistan State here. They want it in India with their home state. But Canada, I mean, any experience you've had with Sikhs in Canada, they've been here for 130
I know, but
years,
they've always been the minority. Now that they're the majority, well, hallelujah. So, okay, where do we go from here?
Well, they're not. They're not the majority. In some areas they are. What's happening is where the conflict is what we just talked about earlier in the show, is the Indian countryification of Canada, where you've got those three factions.
Right. I don't know the breakdown. What's the what is our breakdown, Blake? Do you know, like between the Hindus, because we're bringing mostly disproportionately. I believe something like 75% of our beloved newcomers are from East India.
Yeah. And now, Bangladesh,
but
which
what
is pretty much
what they are, I mean, in terms of their identification, are they Islamic type East Indians? Are they Khalistani type East Indians? Are they Hindu? Who's winning the war? I'm going to.
Well, Pakistan, Bangladesh has a lot of Islamic believers there. India's encircled basically in a lot of ways by Islam, right? They got Iran nearby. Yeah. They've got Pakistan, Bangladesh, Indonesia. But they got China on their border on the other side too. So it's, if you were going to do it the three in order, the Sikhs are actually a small minority in India, really small. Yeah. This was actually a liberation side for them to come here and be free of what was happening to them back home. But yeah, it's really Hindu would be number one religion. And number two would be Islam in India, and then the Sikhs would be down below that.
Yeah, I want to know what the Canadian government's prioritizing out of these disparate groups.
Well, we can tell that where I live, the disproportionate amount is definitely from Islamic countries, because I'm seeing people walking around with burqas on, where I would 5 years ago never seen it before, and it's normal. Yeah. It's every day. It's not just we're not talking a niqab, just the face is still open. We're talking full burqas. So we're seeing a lot of that in where I live. And so I don't know. I think it just depends on where you live and where they're clustering, right? Okay. Because you have certain areas where people are friends, family, or or NGO type groups helping them come to specific areas.
So StatsCan is saying that generally what we've done is we're bringing in about 30% of the East Indians are from Hinduism, and 30% are also Sikhism. So we're bringing about the same amount of each.
Yeah.
And then we're getting in about 23% of the East Indians we're bringing in are Islamic.
Yeah. And then you got to add in all the other Islamic countries we're bringing people in from Pakistan and other places around the world. That's
well, Pakistan is going to be Islam, so we know that right away.
Yeah, and Bangladesh, that's another
one. Bangladesh is also, so if we get them from Bangladesh, they're going to be Islam, the wonderful religion of Islam. Friendly friends. Okay, now we always like to wrap up the show with on a lighter note. Sarah Sanderson Huckabee She, poor little lady, she was Trump's press secretary the first time. You love Sarah. She is like the governor of Arkansas or some place. She's in the South somewhere there doing a thing. Tell me, America, where she is. Anyway, she goes into this little restaurant with her girlfriends, as the ladies do, Blake. As a trans woman of color, you'll frequently see me with my fellow lady friends, and we'll have a little pastry and a little teacup. And we go, oh my God, Margaret, did you hear about Betty? And you go, oh my God, is that true? And you just talk. And you go, by the way, you look lovely. Anyway, this is $30,000 of sex change surgery can get you this great conversation. But anyway, we got this. So she goes in. Now be careful, because I've done this to you historically, where I show you the bold dyke lesbian, and it tends to cause a reaction in you that can be, some would describe as fearful. Please, Blake, just do not fear the lesbians, but I know it can be shocking. Okay, here we go. So here's what we got. Lesbians refusing service based on someone's beliefs. This is the level of stupid we're at. I love Zero. This is a great account. By the way, this big account follows me, right? 375,000 follows three. So I'm one of them. But this is the level of stupid we're at. But if they were refused a cake, they would run to a lawyer in seconds. There's a lovely couple, just adorable. But anyway, they saw Sarah Huckabee Sanders, and they said, no, you can't. You're not welcome here. You're making our customers feel uncomfortable. What the fuck? So I can't stand it. I think it's horrible. Yeah. She should sue their asses for discrimination. There's got to be some sort of legal recourse. You can't just boot somebody out because
they know she's a Christian. That's why their dad is a pastor and a governor, former governor, and now the ambassador in Israel.
Oh, well, you're making the uncomfortable for what? Because of what? You got to draw that out in the court of law.
Yeah.
And you'll come out because you're like, Jesus.
You're discriminating against me because I'm a Christian. That's all she has to say.
Immediately, case one, sir. Defamation lawsuit. You win. Congratulations, Mrs. Saunders. Have a great day, dear. Oh, thank you. Cheryl and I are just going to pick up. We're going to talk about Darlene. She is a complete bitch. All right.
Did you see speaking of this, did you see I don't know who it was. Did we play it on one of the shows? But the guy was in Dearborn, Michigan, of course, is become a Muslim area.
Yes.
Lots of Palestinians there. So they were going, it was a guy dressed up or he wasn't dressed up, but he was acting like a gay guy. And he was going to the cake makers and bakeries in each one of these in Dearborn, Michigan, all run by Muslims. Yeah. I would like a cake for me and my husband. Oh. And then they'd be like, you may want to try that place across the street. Go to the other one. Well, we don't do that. And then you go to the other one. The other guy's like, what do you mean they're sending us here? Yeah. We don't do that either. It's just, it's hilarious. And it's like, but did any lawyers line up to go after these people? No, not once. Because if you were a Christian with conviction, you're the person who gets punished. Even though I would disagree. You do what you want to do. I think we were in a church group back in the 1990s. Remember, we went to some group, I won't say where for their protection, but there was a guy that kind of stood up and said, I think all Christians should shop only with and only do business with other Christians. Yeah. And I think you shot him down really well.
I probably did. Yeah,
you did. And it was good, but that's kind of the point. But here we are, classic hypocrisy of the far left. It's like, they're allowed to be intolerant. They're allowed to discriminate. But as soon as somebody says something about them and hurts their feelings, that's it. Well, let's round up the legal troops and destroy you and cancel you. So
I would love that. Wolfie, what a great idea. Our friend Novosnek is a restaurateur, Blake, in Louisiana. Wouldn't that be incredible? Nick, reach out to Sarah Huckabee, reach out to the governor. I'm a fan of hers. I liked her. She was a very intelligent lady, and she did really good behind the podium. Now, I love our latest gal. Carolyn Levitt. She's a lot of fun. What a darling. She wears a little Christian cross. I love it. So great. So Blake, plans for the weekend? What do you got going?
It's supposed to be possibly sunny tomorrow and maybe even Sunday. I was going to go and do a little bit of prospecting.
Oh man, how therapeutic is that? Now I can't let you get away with it now though, because you just brought that up. Now with all the land claims, that's got to be a real wrench in your ability to go just having fun land claiming because some Indian is going to come out and go, that is my land, you know. Oh, wrong Indian.
It's not wrong.
Wrong Indian.
But it might be.
Holy
Because they'll just declare status too. Well, I'm an Indian by name.
You're in my land. I'm an Indian. Get off of my land. But you're absolutely right. It's the wrong one. Oh, well. So, holy smokes, yeah.
Well, I can tell you this. The DRIPA is full in effect in this industry now. So
yeah.
You can't even stake a claim. It used to be you would stake and it would be effective immediately. It doesn't mean you can go and rip the ground up and start full scale mining. You have to. There's certain stages. There's a process you have to go through. You know, you can test. You know, like hand panning. You know, people test material, bags of it, send it off for samples. But once you got into machine mining, it was like a whole other level of permitting and all that. But you could claim, right? You could claim it, move forward. And then there was a certain amount of work you have to do to maintain it. But now you have to wait through what they called, if you put in an application for a claim, and then that application goes through what they're saying is initiates a consultation process with all the affected First nations around it, which in a lot of ways, because there's interlocking claims, it goes to like 5 or 6 different, maybe even 10 different groups. Like some of these claims in the interior, you know, between the Okanagan and the Fraser Valley and Fraser Canyon, there'll be, 30 different bands that are connected to that. So you can be now, I have claims that I have applied for since last spring that have yet to be moved to the approval process, just so I have a right to go and
have a little talk with the
to go prospect it, right? That's the difference. It's not even economically viable. It's just testing to see if it's economically viable, which means you're not really doing anything damaging to the environment or do anything like that. You're just checking, right? What's there?
Yeah, horrible. Like damaging to the environment. Oh, for the love of God. Even the language.
There's things that they've done for years, though, that are ridiculous. Like, for example, people used to be able to run high bankers into the river, which is basically you run it through. The material goes into the river.
Is that one of them wooden trough things that goes down there?
You hook them up to a water pump, runs water, has a hopper on the top. You dump your material. The heavy stuff slides off.
Yeah.
Or the big material, the waste material slides off. The grill underneath, basically like a grizzly, drops down. The gold falls between those, goes to the next thing down a little sluice.
Now,
right, so one this way falls down, and then the sluice watches. Then lose connection.
Okay, he's back. Okay, wait, he's back. You're okay. You're okay. It's good.
You can hear me, okay? Okay.
Yeah, it's doing good. Just flexed for a
so
bit.
it drops into the sluice, and then the heavy. Of course, gold is like 19 times heavier than most material.
So
it gets stuck in the little grooves down in there. So that's kind of simple, but they don't want you running the wastewater coming out of that, which is coming out of the river anyways, or out of a creek.
Yeah, it's just
back into the creek because they can't have a little bit of that dirty water coming back in. There's no chemicals, there's no mercury, we're not doing anything like that. And then literally you could be staring at floodwaters that are look like chocolate milk of debris in the river. And you couldn't even do that if you even had tried doing it for 1,000 years straight to turn a river that dark. That's just what rain does, and mass runoff from snow melt and stuff
crazy.
Like that.
It's like that Indian river in India where there's so much junk in it, it's not a river anymore.
Oh, the garbage. Yeah, that's horrible. River. Now, that's what I don't want here.
Okay, here's a great question for you, because while we got you on this, I know we should be going, but I have to extend because of this great question. Have you ever been attacked by a mountain man when you're up? Or you're out.
No, never been attacked by a mountain man.
Thank God for that. Praise the Lord. The Lord's looking after you, buddy.
But with gold hovering around $7,000 Canadian an ounce, claim jumpers are going to be abound this summer.
Isn't that wow? Gold, folks. If you got your gold, I got a couple of gold nuggets in the teeth, gold fillings. Might have to pull them out and sell them.
Well, that's one thing. If we ever want to get into the topic on one of the shows, I think we touched on it. But right now, the metals market is being manipulated by the old world order. So there is a war going on there. And I'm hoping Trump will free up the metals market, make it fair and free traded again, not controlled and manipulated by London.
Absolutely. Because at the end of the day, that's what we want. We want all the shackles off. And to truly be free, life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness. That's really all.
Be all you want to be. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, Blake McKenzie. He's over there. All right. Take care, everybody. See you on Tuesday.
Bye-bye.
Sue and I are going to we're going to be in Victoria Monday, but we're going to be in Victoria again later at some point in May. So maybe in May. Tomorrow's kind of a busy, but May. That would be a great to get a hookup if you're going to be around in May. We'll see. Hopefully, that would be great. And then we can hang out and have a giggle. All right, everybody. Take care. My buddy Blake.